Shop podcast. I'm Dr. Mike McFarland, the superintendent in Crowley ISD, and we just want to welcome you to our Learning Shop podcast where we elevate the conversation around leadership. So we are in this learning shop. We're in a barbershop because what we know is that when you go into the barbershop, you go into the barbershop to get a fresh cut and fresh new advice. And so we are here today to give you some fresh advice, a fresh perspective on leadership. And I am so excited today to introduce our special guest to this episode. Many of y'all probably know this young man, and many of y'all have heard of him, but his name is Trent Shelton. He's a former NFL player, a two-time best-selling author, Protect Your Peace. We're going to talk a little bit about the importance of leadership and leaders protecting their peace as well. But he's also one of the most requested motivational speakers worldwide for this generation. Check this out. He got a podcast called the Trent Shelton Podcast, and he has these impactful videos. That's impressive. But what's most impressive is that he has been able to reach over 60 million people. That's some reach right there. And so we definitely excited. And most importantly, he graduated from North Crowley here in Crowley. So we're excited to welcome Mr. Shelton back to our podcast. He's also a performance and success coach. He's a Baylor alumni, and we share that in common. And we're honored to say that he is really coming home today and is a dynamic leader. And so welcome, Trent, man. We appreciate you being here.
Dr. McFarland, I appreciate you.
All right. So we're going to get this thing started right, Trent. We know you've had a lot of leadership experiences, and just leadership is just in your DNA. Yeah,
sure.
We all know your dad and know how much of a leader he is. We've seen him move a whole crowd. So we know you're going to move my audience today. We're going to start off today with fresh leadership advice, right? Okay. So we got this section, and what we do is I'm going to read a statement, and I want you to give us leadership advice and understand you're talking Trent Shelton today to Trent Shelton when he was in the 9th grade,
yes, sir,
or the 10th grade, or whatever grade. But we want you to think about that and give the advice to your younger self. All right. Stress can make a leader
burnt out.
Wow. Okay. All right. A setback in your plan is designed to
set up a major comeback for your life.
Yeah. We want to talk about that today because I know you've had some setbacks, but more importantly, you have come back strong, man. And yes, I'm definitely proud of you. Being negative can block
everything that's meant for your life, especially the blessings.
Yeah. Awesome. If you have too much noise in your life, you can't
really hear your peace.
All right. You learn from the low moments to
really make you appreciate the high moments in your life.
Wow. Okay. Being able to remain calm in a crisis is
one of the greatest superpowers a leader can have.
Wow. Okay. All right. Setting boundaries can
help you protect your peace.
All right. So peace begins with.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Peace begins with understanding that you can't control certain things, and you got to let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can.
Yeah. All right. Pursue peace, not.
I'm going to say pursue peace, not worldly success.
All right. Good stuff. Sometimes you have to lose everything.
Oh, man, to gain everything.
Oh, man, hey, that's good stuff, man. That's good. Hey, that's fresh leadership advice. And I know we're recording this, but I'm going to make sure that we write these things down.
Sure.
So if you're in podcast land, you need to pause, go back, and go through all of those 10 leadership advice questions. Man, that's good stuff, man. And I know
Thank you.
There's lived experiences. I can see it. There's lived experiences in all of these. I tell you what, we're going to take a different turn since you had such a great response to this fresh leadership advice. Let's just talk about stress, because that was the first one.
Yeah.
So we said that stress can make a leader burn out. Right?
Yeah. You
wrote this book called Protect Your Peace.
Yes.
Tell me, where did you get the idea and the desire to write this book? So tell us a little bit about protecting your peace.
Yeah, Protect Your Peace, it was words that really became a lifestyle for me.
Okay.
At the highest height at that time of my career, 2016, that's when the videos were taking off. I'm on a 32-city worldwide tour, and everything on paper looked great. You looked at my life, you would be like, oh my gosh, everything is going great. But there were things personally and professionally that were stressing me out that I was holding on to. I had to have some hard conversations that I didn't want to have. Naturally, I'm not a person that likes to have conflict, but I had to do those things. And so I was carrying people on my team that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I was having things in my life that I wasn't really facing, what I call running from my reality. And I would get to the point where I was motivating crowds, like making everybody else happy, people even motivated, but yet I was backstage crying.
Yeah.
I was backstage empty. And I had an encounter with a homeless man in San Francisco, and I won't tell the whole story, but this man basically told me, he says, man, it looks like you have everything that means nothing. And I tried to help him out by pushing him along by giving him a $100 bill.
Right.
He said, I don't need that. Don't feel sorry for me. I feel sorry for you. He says, I may look like I have nothing on the outside, but I have everything on the inside. I have peace. Right. And from that moment, I said, you know what? Peace is going to be the measuring stick of my success. So I go seek it by any means. And it helps me say no to great opportunities. It helps me say no to things that I know aren't meant for my life. So I think if you prioritize peace, it could change your life, especially as a leader.
Yeah. So, you know, society oftentimes tells us that a leader is the person that accomplishes, achieves, that's on the top of the hill, that's winning all the awards or achieving all the goals. But you just uncovered a whole different perspective of all that, because there's another side to it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, just because you accomplish things doesn't make you a leader. You're just somebody who have accomplished a lot of things.
Man.
I think leadership, I think we all have it in us. I think some of us are born with it. You just have to really pull it out. And, you know, for me, understanding this part of leadership, you know, you're leading somebody regardless.
Okay.
You know, we have unconscious leaders that don't even know that they're leading people. You know, you look at hip hop, you look at all these things, and I love hip hop, but you look at all these things that you have a sense of responsibility. And so for me, for a lot of my life, I was an unconscious leader.
Okay. That
I was leading people, but I didn't realize I was. And so everybody, you look around in your life, somebody's following you, somebody's watching you. And the question is, how are you leading people with your life? And so that made me become more mindful on the life that I want to live and lead.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. You know, I was reading, I think Maxwell was saying that leadership is about influence, right?
Absolutely.
And so what you just said was that, man, we're influencing people all the time, but we need to be intentional about it. I love that unconscious leader idea.
Yeah.
So let's shift then. So you got the unconscious leader.
Yeah.
But then you also have this conscious leader.
That's right.
Let's talk about that. Like, how do you shift from being this unconscious influencer to being an intentional leader?
Yeah. So I live by telling people, you know, live a legendary life. I think we all have a legend inside of us. I think we all can be legendary. And the way I'd say legendary is basically, you know, when you leave something, will your absence be felt? You know what I mean? Whether you leave this world, you leave a job, it's like, man, I really miss this person. I really wish this person was here. And so I tell my kids and people that I coach, like, hey, start there. Like, what's the intention that you want to set? Like, how do you want your presence to be valued? How can you bring more valuable to any environment you go into? My grandmother told me this. She said, Trent, whatever you come around, make sure you make it better. So if it's going through the Starbucks line, if it's going through doing a podcast, leave some type of impact. And I think as a leader, you have to ask yourself that question, like, what's the impact that I want to leave on every single day? Because that's legacy. Legacy isn't just when you die. Legacy is built how you live every single day. So I wake up and ask myself, you know what? There's a lot of things I can't control, but what's the impact that I want to leave on today?
Yeah, man, that's good. That's good stuff, man. So you know, we've really kind of talked about legacy a little bit on this in this learning shop, and so your summary of it, man, is right on point, man.
Yeah.
I definitely like that. So let's talk about, since we're talking about legacy and other things, let's think about the leaders in your life. I know you've probably had some. I'm assuming that you've had some leaders in your life, and so talk to me about think about those 3 or 4 people, and you don't have to tell me their names, but tell me what was unique about those 3 or 4 people that you today deem leaders.
They were my example. You know, I'm gonna just say my dad first of all. Like, I mean, I have coaches, but my dad was the example, and not just with words, with actions. So like, you know, I could tell my kid, work hard, but then he looks at me and they're like, Daddy ain't working hard. Right. You know, so my father, everything he instilled in us, it wasn't just with words, it was with action. People say, you know, do as I say, not as I do. That was opposite with my dad. You know what I mean? I could do exactly what he did, and I know I would become a great leader. So the example that's set without words, to me, is the most powerful demonstration of a leader. Yeah. And all those coaches and influential people in my life, I could look at their life and say, okay, they really live by what they say, or they try their best to.
Yeah, that's interesting, man, because, you know, as I've had this conversation with different people and I ask them to identify leaders, it's amazing how many people point to their parents.
Yeah.
But when we're trying to learn leadership, we go get a book about some great person that's done something.
Right.
Because we don't assume that these people around us every day are actually the true leaders. Like,
Absolutely.
we're reading about these stories that people write about their lives, but we got leaders walking around us every single day, right? So, Dev, man, thank you for lifting that up. So, in your latest book, you wrote, you shared a message words that your mom taught you, right? And I know that your mom was a special influence in your life.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read this quote that you said, and I want you to just kind of react to it and tell us why you felt like it was necessary to put this in your book. Whatever it is that is heavy on your heart right now, just know God got you, and it'll get better. God will give you the power to make it better if you choose today. Sometimes getting better doesn't look like the way we expect it to. Sometimes better starts with renewing your mind and refreshing your soul. So how have these words allowed you to keep going during dark times?
Yeah, I think my mom taught me and everybody that came in contact with her, like, I think with faith, sometimes we trust our circumstances, right? We look out and see, oh, my circumstances got to get better in order for God to be working in my life. And what she's taught me to look through life, not with just my physical eyes, but with my faith eyes, and saying, hey, if you're doing what's necessary, if you're putting in the work, if you are trusting the process, then at some point, the harvest will take place. Just like a gardener, you know? I'm going to plant the seed, I'm going to water the seed, and for months, nothing might not happen, but I trust the process in that. So that's what that passage meant to me, you know, and renewing my mind is everything, because I believe your perspective is everything. It's how you see things, you know? Right. It's your power or your prison. So she really taught me to make sure my perspective is my power in any situation and create meanings that serve my life and serve my future. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Awesome to be able to take your experiences and use them to your benefit to get done what you need to get done. I can tell you, man, I was reading your book. Your dad gave me the book about 2 months ago, and so I was reading the book, and we were going through a crisis here in the school district. We were going through a financial crisis. It's happening all across the state, but here we were going through it, and there was a part in there, and it said something about it made me think about the fact that everything that you go through kind of prepares you for everything you've gone through prepares you for what you're about to go through.
That's right.
And so, I got that out of your book, and I use that, man, with my entire team. So I just want to lift that up, man. So talk to me about that, because you mentioned something, and Brother Stinson earlier mentioned how you go through challenges, and you got to pull out of those challenges and circumstances things that help you get through whatever is facing you. So talk to me about that.
Everything is building you. Yeah. I would tell the listeners and people watching right now, like, if you think about your biggest growth moments in your life, it came from your biggest pain moments. That part. You know, you go back to say, it's because of this, that's why I grew from it. And so I know it's hard to go through things, and I know it's hard to deal with it in the present moment, but you got to ask yourself this question, like, how is this building me? And even to take it further is, you even take more ownership over it and say, you know what is this going to mean to my life? And I talk about that in the book, and it goes over a lot of people's heads, but when something happens, we often say, what does this mean? And usually we come up with a meaning, from our past. So this means that I got cut from NFL, my life is over. Right. When you shift your perspective to your power, you say, what is this going to mean? And so when I got cut, at some point I say, you know what, this is going to mean this is over, but I'm about to walk into my new beginning. So every time something happens in my life, I take control over that meaning and say, this is going to mean I learned, I grew. This is going to mean that I got some tools and some skills that no perfection could have gave me. And that just helps me serve my mental health during those hard times.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. That's an awesome perspective to put meaning out of everything you go through like that. All right. So you also talk about the people around you. Yeah. I know Maxwell talks about the inner circle, and you talk about these the folks around you. And so as we're thinking and talking to students in school today, oftentimes, our crew, that's the most important people is our crew. But you talk about this idea that there are people who just around you and want to drink from your cup and not pour into it. Yeah. What advice would you give a leader or even a student or a young man or young woman who's around people who are just drinking out of their cup?
Yeah. If you have just takers in your life, like, any relationship should be reciprocal. It's a two-way street. If it's a one-way street, it probably needs to come to a dead end, because you're going to get used until you have nothing else in you, and that person is going to move on from your life. So one question I often ask myself, and I tell people all the time, is ask yourself this question. If all I had to offer was friendship, who would still be in my life? And it's pretty simple right there. And you will start to realize, who's there just for what surrounds your life, or who's there for really who loves you, and who's there for just who you truly are. And I had to realize that with my life. When I lost the NFL, I lost a lot of things. I lost a lot of friends, but it showed me who the real people in my life were, and I got to appreciate them a lot more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about mental health and really dive in about mental health. And it seems like after the pandemic, you know,
Yeah.
this idea of mental health became even more of a topic. And
Right.
so talk to me about mental health, your perspective on it, and just why you believe it's important for a leader.
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, we think about physical health, we think about emotional health, and which mental health is emotional health. You know, and it's everything because I know in my life, again, I can have everything in the world, but yet I still have nothing. You know, and you look at headlines today, and it bothered me. I read a headline the other day, and it was a football player. I'm not going to say his name, but it said found dead in his mansion. And I know that's like a physical thing, but if you look at it on a deeper level, how many people, their mansion, whatever it is, like the best life and success and all the numbers, but yet they're still committing suicide. It's because they have some type of emptiness inside. They don't have fulfillment. So I would just tell everybody, like, what really fulfills your life? You know what I mean? If you had everything, because this is the thing, doctor, and I know you can relate to this. I know a lot of people think that they're missing something. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not missing. I know the finances, yes, when you get to a point and it helps you, but you're still going to have that thing you didn't deal with. It's not the success. It's not the followers.
Right.
It's the stuff that really is inside of you that's a void. And so I always try to figure that part out in me. Like, what am I missing from my life? Because mental health makes everything better in your life. When you have strong mental health, you can have strong business, be a strong leader, and you can just be a stronger person.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I definitely agree with you on that, man. So definitely appreciate that perspective. So let's now talk about, like, I mentioned you have like 60 million viewers, 60 million listeners. That's a wide reach. That's a wide reach, a lot of influence. And so what brings you the most satisfaction as a voice to so many? Like, you are a voice to a whole lot of people. And so what about that brings you satisfaction?
It's not the numbers. You know, I'm blessed, but what it is the impact. I could have an event where there's 1,000 people, and as long as one person comes up to me and says, Trent, your message helped me, you know, build my faith, help me get out this situation, help me, you know, protect my peace, that's what matters to me. You know, I don't care about numbers. I don't care about all the things that the world cares about. I just care about somebody getting help from the message. And so anytime that happens, it reminds me, because there's times, man, where I wanted to give up in this journey. It's tough. It's heavy. But I had an encounter where it says, hey, that video that you did or that podcast that you did, I needed that. And so I always hold on to that, and it keeps me going in my journey. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So as we begin to wrap up, man, I got really one more question. And so at some point in time, all these things will come to an end. You know, life will come to an end.
Yeah.
And you know, legacy, we started off talking about legacy, but at some point in time, there'll be something that people will remember you for. What would you like to be remembered for?
Just a guy that helped people, you know, protect their peace, live in their power, and live in purpose. Just a guy that left some on this earth and made it a little bit better. And if people can say that at my funeral service, then my job is done.
Yeah, awesome, brother. That's good stuff, man. Well, I tell you what, you have definitely made my life better. Hopefully made our viewers' life better by adding your voice to this conversation. I appreciate you for rewriting the narrative, for really being a tangible example of what we can be and what we can become. We look up to you, man. We're proud of you. Appreciate your family and what you've given for Crowley ISD and for North Crowley. And also, viewers, we appreciate you all for joining us today. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, our goal with this conversation is simply to lift the voice of leadership, to rewrite the narrative, and to let you know that leaders can come from anywhere. And most importantly, it can come from you. You have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to protect your peace, to find your place, pursue your purpose, and you can be a leader too. Thank you all. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit that like button, hit the bell, do the notification, do all the things you need to do to get to follow us on our YouTube page and all the things that we do. We appreciate you all, and we look forward to having this conversation again with many other people. Thank you, Trent, man. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate what you've done. Yeah. All right. Thank y'all.